Today, I'm going to predict the champions of every conference in FBS college football, the Group of Fives and the Power Fives. Let's go. Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me again, Golden Blue Dude. Hey, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. I do college football videos every single day. And don't forget to check out my good friends at Tri-State Wood Sketch. He does amazing work. He can put any picture onto a piece of wood. All you have to do is send him the picture that you want on the wood, and he'll make a beautiful piece of art. Check him out at TriStateWoodsketch.com. Tell him that Golden Blue Dude sent you, and he'll give you 20% off. Today, I'm going to predict the champions of each conference in FBS college football, Power 5 and Group of 5. I'm not really going to go into great detail, just kind of a quick overview. So here's my picks for the champions of each conference, starting with the Group of 5s. For me, this is a no-brainer. It's going to be Cincinnati. Cincinnati is loaded on both sides of the ball this year. And if they do lose a game, I think it will be an out-of-conference game, either at Indiana or at Notre Dame. Having said that, don't totally discount UCF or Memphis. They're going to be pretty good teams. Next up, Conference USA. This conference will be up for grabs this year. The West Division has been dominating this conference as of recent years. UAB is the favorite to win it all again, but I'm going with Western Kentucky. I think the Hilltoppers are sneaky good. The offense has to be, and I think they will be better in 2021. I think the offensive line will bulldoze opposing defenses, and I think that allows a deep running back core to chunk yards, get first downs, and shrink games. I'm taking Western Kentucky in Conference USA. Next up, the MAC. Now, a lot of people are picking either Toledo or Buffalo to win the MAC. I'm going with Ball State. They have a great quarterback in Drew Plitt, and he has a pair of all MAC wide receivers to throw to, and the defense will be legit. They have 9 starters coming back on that side of the ball. And one big plus for Ball State is their schedule. They have a not so tough schedule, and they get Buffalo at home at the end of the year. Next up, the Mountain West. No question in my mind, I'm taking Boise State, but don't sleep on Nevada or San Jose State. They'll be pretty good too. Boise State has the best quarterback in the Mountain West in Hank Bachmeier. 4 starters on the offensive line are back. I think running back George Halani will gouge opposing defenses. I do think the defense needs to create more turnovers, and they did lose their 2 starting cornerbacks, but I think they'll be fine on defense. Next up, the Sun Belt. This conference might be the best conference in the Group of 5 in 2021. I think the Sun Belt championship game will be Louisiana versus Coastal Carolina, and I think Louisiana beats them. The Raging Cajuns have more depth, and quarterback Levi Lewis, who is 24-4 as the starting quarterback at Louisiana, will be a nightmare for opposing defenses. And Louisiana will have the best defense in the Sun Belt this year. This will be a 4-team race for the Sun Belt championship. In the East, it'll be Coastal Carolina and Appalachian State, and then in the West, it'll be Louisiana and Arkansas State. And I think Louisiana beats Coastal Carolina to win the Sun Belt championship. Now it's time to talk about the Power 5. We're going to start off with the Pac-12. This might be the most competitive conference in the Power 5 in 2021. You have Washington, Oregon, USC, Utah, Arizona State. They're all going to be good. I think all 5 of those teams will be legit Pac-12 title contenders. To me, I think this comes down to who has the best quarterback. I think Keaton Slovis barely edges out Jaden Daniels as the best quarterback in the Pac-12. And USC has a very manageable schedule this year. They get Utah at home, but they do have a tough road test at Arizona State, but they don't have to play Washington, and they don't have to play Oregon in the regular season. That's why I'm taking the Trojans. The next conference, the Big 12. This is really a 2-team race for the title for the Big 12. It comes down to Iowa State and Oklahoma. Oklahoma could have the best quarterback in the nation in Spencer Rattler. The Sooners are balanced, and they have great depth. They have 5 legitimate playmakers at wide receiver. And defensive coordinator Alex Grinch has turned this defense around. Oklahoma will have a good defense in 2021. Iowa State is very talented, but they're not as deep as Oklahoma. I have Oklahoma winning the Big 12. They get Iowa State at home during the regular season. They'll have to play them again in the Big 12 championship. I think they'll beat them again in the Big 12 championship, and it will be Oklahoma's depth that wears out the Cyclones. Next up, the ACC. Of course, I'm going with Clemson. This is a no-brainer. Miami and North Carolina are not gimme wins. Both of those teams are very talented, but Clemson's quarterback DJ Uiagalelei is an early Heisman favorite, and he's actually being hyped more than Watson and more than Lawrence. Clemson returns 10 starters on the defense. I think they'll have one of the best defenses in the the nation. And defensive coordinator Brent Venables, he is preaching physicality this year. That's the one thing that Clemson's defense has been missing the past couple of years. Clemson will have 2 legitimate road tests this year, at NC State and at Pitt. I think they take care of business, win those 2 road games, go undefeated in the regular season, get to the ACC championship game, and beat North Carolina in the ACC championship game by at least 2 touchdowns. Next up, the Big Ten. Ohio State has owned the Big Ten recently, but with so many question marks, there is a window of opportunity for other teams to take advantage of, and I think Wisconsin does exactly that. I will say quarterback Graham Mertz needs to be more consistent, but he has shown flashes of brilliance. Running back Jalen Berger will chunk yards, pick up first downs, and set up the passing game. Wisconsin should once again have the best defense in the Big Ten. Their biggest win in the offseason was actually keeping their great defensive coordinator, Jim Leonhard. Green Bay was trying to get him as their defensive coordinator, and Wisconsin was able to keep him. That's a big win. Having said that, of course, don't count out Ohio State. And also, keep your eyes on Indiana, Iowa, and Penn State. They're going to be great as well. Last conference I'm going to talk about, of course, the SEC. Alabama lost pretty much their entire offense this year, but they are the best recruiting team in the nation. I do expect growing pains this year, though. And this will give LSU, Texas A&M, and Ole Miss a chance, an opportunity to knock off Alabama in the West. I think Alabama grabs 1 loss to Texas A&M, but still gets to the SEC championship game. But I think that's where Georgia beats Alabama in the SEC championship game. Yes, I have Georgia winning the SEC in 2021, and that will erase an early season loss to Clemson. Georgia will have the best quarterback in the SEC in JT Daniels, the best wide receiving core in the SEC, and they could get their best wide receiver George Pickens back from injury either mid-season or towards the end of the season. They have the best tight end rotation in the SEC, but their weakness is on defense, especially in the secondary, specifically the cornerback position. But Georgia's schedule allows them to get to the SEC championship at 11-1. And by then, I think the secondary will be gelled and experienced enough to allow Georgia to beat Alabama in the SEC championship game. And that's why I have Georgia as one of my picks to get to the playoffs. I think they win the SEC. Let me know what you guys think about my conference champions predictions. That's all I got for you for this show. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you on my next show.